Welcome everyone to round 2 of the SRF Weekend Warriors 2021 Season 2 right here on Apex Racing TV. This week, we are at the iconic virtual representation of Watkins Glen in virtual upstate New York. I am the actual Jim Hodgson. Joining me in the commentary booth this week is the legendary alien himself, Mr. Sam Fitzpatrick. And of course, on the knobs and faders is the man who invented plastic spoons and forks, Jonathan Grabowski, aka Johnny Grabs. Now, viewers, Sam is new to our series, but has a huge wealth of knowledge about sim racing and indeed sim championship winning. Sam, how are you feeling today?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I like it. I usually have to bring up my 2 championship wins myself, but you've done all that work for me. So
is
thank
it
you very
two?
much.
Wow.
Two champions. I'm not boasting. No, very excited to be here. This car is absolutely awesome. I broadcast the Radical SR8s on a Friday evening, and this thing is kind of similar. You know, it's maybe a little bit lower powered, but strong slipstream. Such an awesome racing car as well. Really fun to drive. So I'm really looking forward to watching this. From what I've seen of the broadcast I've watched, it's usually very competitive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, like I say, we're at Watkins Glen today, and of course, the qualifying has happened off camera, so we'll see that. We'll see the results of that when we get to the grid here in a second. But I'm expecting some drivers to struggle a little bit on the second, sort of the latter half of the course in the loop area, which we're just about to see. We're going through the chicane here. Cars at the bottom of your screen. That was just Elson's car. Here comes Carr and Fritcher. They're just entering this loop. So downhill, it's on camber, but just downhill. And when this car decelerates, it very much wants to step out in the rear. So I'm expecting a little bit of trouble there. Sam, how do you handle that? Well, you drive a high downforce car, don't you?
Well, I drive barely anything. I was driving the FW31, the 2009 Williams earlier on, which is a little bit far away from this. But I think, as always, on all cars in real life and on sim racing, it's all about getting that consistency, getting that smoothness in the car, and just really being careful on the braking pedal as well. The back end does start to step out, but these drivers just know how to drive the thing like the back of their hands. I mean, you naturally just pick up on little quirks of each car which can just make it go a little bit faster, whether it's maybe applying a little bit more steering lock, you know when to apply the throttle, and so these guys absolutely will know what they're doing. And of course, this is such a familiar circuit to these guys as well. This is the most owned road circuit, most used road circuit, I think, in all of iRacing, so they'll have plenty of experience around this track and also this layout.
Absolutely. And of course, we do have a very high strength of field every week in this series, in addition to big grid. So lots of drivers who really know their business. Now, I want to take a quick moment just before we get started. We got about 2 minutes left in the practice session to say thank you so much to our sponsor, RaceVoice, who are proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford Racing Series. And you can take your driving to the next level. I very much need this, Sam. I could be near your level if I took it up a few notches. Thanks to on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. You can hear stuff like miles per hour, your turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts, and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. Go faster with the speed of voice. Plus, Weekend Warriors get 50% off annual sim pricing using the promo code WW50. Check them out at racevoice.com. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this series. We do love it dearly. Just about a minute left to go in practice. Shall we very quickly take a look at the series standings so far? Johnny Grabs? I don't think I will be able to see those, but I'm sure you will be able to get them onto the screen. I can just get to... Oh boy.
Well, I'm frantically trying to look as well, but I can say that in Spec 1 standings, Austin winner. Well, this is my first time in the championship. I mean, that's a good name, isn't it? That's a very good name. That's appropriate. It'd be embarrassing if he wasn't at the top. But well done. His family must be very proud. Maurizio Nazelli in second place. And then Andres Bertoni in third, but it's all very close. Just 19 points separating those guys, and frankly, really anyone out of the top 10 it's all really close all the way down. So it could easily change. If you get a crash, that can send you way down the order and sort of turn the championships right back into play. In the Spec 2 standings, Nico Schuck at the top, Alessandro Dalladone, who I raced at Sebring yesterday in a team. We did very well. We finished 11th place, I think, despite having Marco Balvanero on our team. So we were pleased with that one. So Alessandro going to be dangerous, isn't he? And so Maya in third. And then in the Masters, Kenneth Batley, Michael Shaw, and Tom Gradwell at the top. So, well, this will be interesting. All those championships staying tight. Yeah, this is, I believe, only round 2 of the championship. So, of course, plenty of racing still to go.
Quite so. And we should be looking at our grid here shortly. It looks like our pal David Gaspers has got himself a pole position. He's joined by Austin Winner, often actually a winner, as his name would indicate. They are followed by Maurizio Naselli and Jurg Manny. A great result for Manny there on the second row in P4. Followed, of course, by Foreign's Arabian, who's been absent, I think, from the sharp end of the field for a couple of weeks. Good to see him back. Ian Haycox, part of the father-son team there in P6. They are followed by Stephen Elson and Andres Bertoni in 7th and 8th. Michael Dobek and Jeff Fritcher in 9th and 10th. David Bohm and Jesus A. Rodriguez in 11th and 12th. They're followed, of course, by Yaroslav Chernikowski. I think that might be Yaroslav. If I've got that wrong, I do apologize. Followed by Jason Perry, Jan Pereira, Bobby West, Chris Murakami, Dominic Barreau. Series organizer Stevie Ray. Thank you so much for all your hard work, Stevie Ray. Joined by Josh Arnold in P20. They're followed, of course, by Thomas Renders and McGill, I believe was all alongside Renders. And we've skipped a few, I think, but we're down to Vogel, John Vogel, Tom Gradwell, Ken Batley, Simon Mayer, Mike Shaw, Yeri Cox, Ian Gibson, Kurt Nunez, Samuel Dick, Jeff Jacobson, Paolo Bremi, and Bob Kern down in P36. So our formation lap begins, and in 37th, we've got Aaron Vagley. I've just tricked viewers. I do apologize. I've just tricked our poor producer, Johnny Grabs, by being fast and loose with my words. I've tricked him into thinking I was moving on. So he's moved the grid from my eyes. I can no longer see it. But let's see here. It was Vagley, Jeremy Lewis, Johan Butenga, David Waters, Adam Bradshaw, Paul Jackson, Sergey Askentyev, Mark Gehan, Gary Walbolt, Zelko Naik, I believe that is, Stephen Mitchell, Ryan Bell, Arv Svenning, Ian Wilson, David Delgado, Louis Verloop, Jonathan Gaston Mino, Haas Gifford, great name, Haas, Mick Carr, Patrick Moore, Robert Eel, and Hugh Haycox and Antonio Race. What in the world is Antonio Race doing all the way down there? Well, what a race we're going to have for you. Even if calling out the grid, Sam, was a little bit ragged, we're going to have quite a great race here in just a few minutes.
Yes, it's a big grid, isn't it? Absolutely stacked. And, I mean, literally 60 cars is the most you can have. Maybe 62, I think, is the absolute track limit. But pre-qualifying as well for these guys. So these guys got to be good in order to get up into this race. So it should be an absolute mega one. Now, earlier on, you said that I knew something about sim racing. I think that was pushing it a bit. However, one thing I think I know is that on the first lap, up that hill, the tyre's cold. So easy for one driver. It just takes one driver to spin, and the rest of the field is in a calamity. So if we get an incident for the top 10, I mean, that is going to be it's going to be an incredible crash, potentially. Now, hopefully, we avoid that because we want to see as many cars in the running as we possibly can. But that is a real possibility that these drivers will need to be prepared for, and to be fair, you can prepare for it, but you're not really going to be able to get around it. So watch out up that hill on the first lap. If there's any contact, if there's any spinning, then the other drivers are going to do well to avoid it behind.
Yeah, that is you make a great point. Very hard section because it's flat out. If you are managing the car correctly, but on cold tires, as you say, very easy to have an incident there. Actually, lots of great places to have incidents on this track. I think I've had incidents at each and every one of them myself. But you know, like for instance, turn 1, the straight is not that long, but then there's that downhill braking zone into turn 1. Very easy to run wide there. So hopefully the cars will be able to stay out of trouble. We should be getting started here soon. The pace car should be diving into the pits there in this final turn. Gaspers and Winner will lead us around. Here we go. We're on the start-finish straight. There is the green flag. A beautiful camera shot there. Gaspers leads the field. Winner slots in behind with Naselli not at all far behind. There's Jurg Manny just there. I think we've got to be 4 or 5 wide at some points in this course as we go through turn 1. Very much on camber, but also easy to go wide. And here we go into that section that Sam was just telling us about as we run up this hill. Again, you want to be flat out through here. But if anybody has any kind of an issue through here, there was just Dobek. Looks like he's alongside another car there that's asking for trouble. Hopefully he gets through there safely. There's Fritcher, Elson, not sure who that is, but Dobek and Bohm, I believe, are next to one another. And I believe we've made it up the hill and onto the back straight without major incident, Sam.
Yeah, pretty mega. Arabian just getting past Manny a little bit further up for 4th place. Also Fritcher as well going wide, and he's going to lose at least 1 place. He might even lose a couple more, and actually he's got a bit of a queue of cars behind him right now. That's Rodriguez trying to go round the outside, picking up the Dotsel early round the Banks corner, of course, running the bus stop on this round of the championship. But that was good defense as the 1-2-2 came in pretty strong behind. That was David Bohm trying to take advantage. By the way, mega start for Jason Perry. I didn't really see it, but Perry gained 6 places by the time he got down into turn 1. He must have absolutely launched the start, and he's gone up pretty much half the order straight away. So good job on the man sitting in P8.
Yeah, fantastic work for Perry. That would be great for him. We'd love to see him have a good result. I think his luck hasn't been the best. You can see Perry's car right there on the end of that sort of booger of cars who are all together, and then a slight gap back to Elson and Fritcher in that green car and the blue car with the pink wheels behind. Here is your field snaking its way through the boot for the first time in anger. And so far, I'm gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with the field. A lot of cars, but it seems like everybody's managed to keep themselves relatively out of trouble. Now, we do get a fast repair, but probably faster not to have to use it.
Yeah, I think that's the plan for the drivers, but it is an important part. It's that fast repair. I mean, you can recover some crucial positions even if you do get involved in an instant. By the way, there's no gaps bigger than 1 second at the moment between the drivers. At the moment, there's a gap between Fritcher and Elson, one of the biggest gaps out on circuit. Even that is only about 0.8 of a second at the moment as they start the climb. Once again, such a massive tow effect around this place. It's such easy flat out up the hill that it's really easy to stay close to the driver ahead and draft your way up to the back. So yeah, plenty of overtaking expected.
Looks to me like that's Elson's car, that green car, and there we're riding alongside. We're just looking at Fritcher as he went by, but just ahead you can see that green car. It's going by again. Just sort of in no man's land is Elson, unfortunately, trying to catch up to Haycox and be on that group of leaders. There's Fritcher leading the group behind. It looks like there's going to be an attempt on a pass there into the bus stop. Really, not that there's a great spot to have somebody try to get around you like that on the brakes, but perhaps not the best spot. It looks like Elson has indeed caught that group ahead, so he's got a little bit of pace, does Elson. Well done.
Yeah, that's a pretty good job there from Elson, wasn't it? As up the inside goes Rodriguez, he's held up behind Fritcher for long enough. Oh, they're both very wide onto the grass. Can they keep hold of it? The 42 car will go through of Michael Dobek there, and that was fairly simple for him. And well, bad news for Fritcher. Apologies, bad news for Rodriguez because Fritcher remains just in front of him. But this is a very close battle. Now Bobby West pick up a draft on these few drivers. I really do like these types of circuits where you got corner, then a short straight, corner, then a short straight, because in these cars you can overtake into pretty much any corner you want, and so the battles can really stay going for many corners consecutively. Now they get back into single file, but all this battling, Jim, will really cost these drivers time.
Yeah, of course. Now, Bohm is a very good driver. He usually shows a lot of pace, a very aggressive guy, not afraid to jump into a gap if there's one ahead, or even perhaps if there's not. But we'll be able to, I think we'll see what he can do with his pace here. If he maybe drags this group up to the lead group, he's still got a gap there up to Elson. You just saw Elson disappear. That's Bohm's car on the front of this second group with the gap here. But maybe Bohm can drag all of those guys up to this lead group. And we've certainly seen it in this series before where we've got a lead group of, you know, up to a dozen cars who all have the pace to win the race. And it just comes down to a nail biter so many times. It's what I love about this series.
Might have a change for the lead here between Gaspers and Winner is just going for the lead at the moment. And Gaspers actually dropping down into 3rd position, it seems, and Arabian into the lead as well.
Wow.
As we also have a change of position further back, Dobek and Bohm getting ahead of Fischer right there. And Fischer down into 11th position, but yeah, all change at the front.
I wonder if Gaspers had a little bit of a mistake that held up Winner and allowed Arabian to get around them both. You may never know, but that, you know, that sort of kind of thing certainly can happen, especially at this early stage of the race. But Fritcher now dropping back just a bit. Looks like Dobek and Bohm are going to be sort of on their own to go and try to chase that next group. Something must have happened to Bohm. He was previously ahead of Dobek, and Dobek managed to get around. Winner now back in the lead of the race. And now, even as I say that, Sam, as soon as the words come out of my mouth, it looks like he and Arabian are really battling.
Yeah, it sure does. It's been a absolute mega race so far in this one. And of course, all these moves in the early stages may not matter so much come the end, but you always want to be slightly out in the lead, because then if the drivers behind start battling, you can start making a break for it. But certainly expect these guys to stay close all the way through.
Yeah, we have races like this. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. We have races that are just non-stop, action-packed, all the way up and down the timing tower for the entire race every week, Sam. So I think now that you've joined us for one, I think there's a strong possibility you get addicted to this series.
I think so. I think so. I mean, this is what we dream of in every single race, and we do get this in every single race in this series, so it's pretty mega.
So Dobek managing to stay ahead of Bohm. Great for him. Fritcher has caught the two of them up, so they've got a little sort of a mid-high field group of three, although now as I say that, looks like Fritcher's a little farther behind than I thought. And Bohm is going to take that place away from Dobek. Maybe these guys are saying to one another, you know, I'll try to chase him for a while. Okay, now you try to chase him for a while.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of a strategy there, and of course if you can kind of make it a bit like they do in the velodrome in the cycling, then you can maybe use the tow from one another to kind of gain some speed and gather some momentum, and of course maybe even try some bump drafting as well. Yeah, not quite sure how successful that will be. Usually you want the fastest driver at the front to drag you along, as Gaspers in the lead. Yeah, retaking that lead after losing it just a lap ago. But so far it's been Gaspers, Arabian and Winner really maintain those top 3 positions. And he just keeping slightly behind in 4th place, but he's still well within the draft.
Well, having raced a little bit at the velodrome myself, I can tell you, you do not see much bump drafting on the bike. But here now we've got Gaspers and Arabian trading back and forth for the lead, with Winner sitting in 3rd. Sam, I gotta say, I feel, I don't know, I'm a vain person, so I want to be in the lead of the race. So if I'm one of those guys, I can understand trying to lead. But if you're out front, it seems to me you're using more fuel and you're kind of in the hot seat. So I don't think any of these drivers, I think they're all very fast and have a lot of pace, but I don't think any of the 3 are going to be able to drive away from the others. So it seems like, it just seems odd to me that there's that sort of bobbling at the front. Look at that. They're 3 wide down the front straight. That's a Winner on the far left, Arabian in the middle, and Gaspers on the outside. Look at this.
Oh, it's 3 wide just behind as well, isn't it? He is going to come out on top up the hill. Well, it's Gaspers at the front still, but that's probably the place not to be. And if anything, it might actually be Arabian. He's in the best position. He has to get out of the draft because he was so quick up the hill. Actually has to duck out of it and then dip back in and try to gather some momentum as well. Perry up into 4th position now. Remember, he started a little bit further back, did Jason Perry, so very good for him. As Winner into the lead, and Gaspers in 2nd, Arabian in 3rd. Big slide there. I think that was for Stephen Elson perhaps, and actually Winner just making a bit of a gap of this one. It's up to 1 second. How has he done that?
Well, he would, wouldn't he? Since I just said I didn't think any of them would be able to get away from any of the others. So surely And it looks like Gaspers and Arabian sharing a livery there. I'm only just noticing it just now. They must have decided to form a team together, I guess. Arabian formerly, Gaspers had a custom livery, but Arabian used to run that sort of that silk cut Jaguar livery. And it looks like they're both running the same livery now. I didn't know that they'd formed a team. Can you do that?
It's against the law. Yeah. Seemingly they have. I don't know.
How dare they?
I'm not sure.
Nobody alerted me at all.
No, well, yeah, we need this information, don't we? You know. Well, if they're teammates, aren't really helping each other, are they? Because they're fighting too much, and it's allowed winners to get a 1.2-second gap. So the alliance isn't really working too well. Look at Dobek, he's actually caught up to the back of these guys. So Dobek and Arnold, they've been fighting so much that these guys have gained what was about a 2-second gap. And they've quickly ramped up to these guys. They were 1.5 seconds faster than the leaders as we got Bertoni into the pits.
Well, that's annoying for Bohm, isn't it? Like, he did all that work, as you're saying, to catch that lead group. Just catches onto the tail of Bertoni's car. Bertoni dips into the pits, so now he's got a gap again.
Yeah, and the cars have got the slipstream, so it won't be easy for him to catch up. Let's see if I think he should be able to match it if the front guys just start battling as they are going to battle, because Gaspers and Arabian, are they close again? Certainly some alternative lines. The 97 going a bit wider. Perry, who looks very quick, does Jason Perry at the moment. Started in 13th place, I think did the 97. He might be up into 2nd position here. Still Gaspers with the slight advantage. Perry going the long way round. And actually he has to give in as well, just stays in 4th place. 1.3 seconds now between the top two, as we've got an issue for Karnanowski. Apologies, I tried not to pronounce half the syllables there, but I'll look at that one a few times to figure out how you say it. Yaroslav, there you go. He has had an off, seemingly, and, oh, well, 3 wide into the bus stop is probably why.
Yeah, I think that might be Chernikowski, or Chernikovsky. He'll tell us. But either way, he is probably not where he intended to be, given that his car is in the bus stop, but not on the racing surface. So yeah, Bohm, Fritcher, and Dobek managed to catch this group of leaders, but Winners still has himself a little gap. And now we're seeing a couple of other gaps form here. That looks like that Gaspers and Arabian got themselves a little gap back to Perry. Let's see if Perry's able to close that up. I gotta say, I'm loving seeing Perry in P4. I'd love to see him have a great result today. There we are, riding on board with his Spider-Man themed machine. So let's take a quick, just want to take a very quick look at Spec 2 and Masters. Our Spec 2 leader at the moment, I suppose, would be Murakami. No, he's a Masters, isn't he? Because his number is over 900. So our Spec 2 leader will be Pereira, running in 17th. Excuse me, just made it to 15th on account of Ray and Hrasky dipping into the pit. So Pereira, car number 312, I believe, is leading Spec 2, followed by Renders in car number 641. There is Renders, pounding along. And Pereira there, there he is, car number 312. And then, of course, the Masters class, Spec Masters, cars with the numbers over 900, Murakami, followed by Gradwell and Batley.
Yeah,
60 years of age and older, if you can believe it.
Yeah, that's 3 of me. So,
Well, we're lucky to have one of you.
Well, yes. Thank you very much. Well, you wouldn't want 2. Imagine that. That would be the worst commentary you've heard in your life. We've got Perry up into 2nd place. I was just going to say before, we are a British broadcasting company. So we are biased towards Perry. So come on, mate. You can get in here. He's 2.1 seconds off the lead, though. And, well, but he's been very quick. I mean, he's looked quicker than all these guys. So tricky to tell with the draft. But we know he's looking very good at the moment. Let's see if Perry can start pulling away. The teammates are just battling constantly, it seems. Arabian versus Gaspers changing places each lap. This battle going back to Dobek in 10th position. You can just see Dobek and Fischer just a little bit detached.
Yeah.
It's, they're about to come round to, well, we're nearly halfway through the race. It really has raced on by.
Yes, we should be seeing people taking their scheduled stops. That might have been what claimed Stevie Ray, and I think Haycox might have stopped in as well. But yeah, we should see people stopping in for a splash of fuel. Not sure that they will. Well, Watkins Glen does like to degrade your tires. Not sure if they'll take tires, but they'll certainly need to take some fuel to get to the end of the race. I guess the pit stop window hasn't quite fully opened yet, unless you have damage and you want to take your fast repair. But yeah, as you say, we've got quite a multinational grid today. Just in the top couple of drivers, it's US, Canada, UK and Ireland, Germany, Switzerland, Canada. And there's an Australian flag. There's Brazil. People from all over the place, Sam.
Yeah, I see a Uruguay flag as well. So lots of different nationalities, which is very cool to see. Great that the league is open to everyone on that regard. As the 17 or Gaspers kind of cuts in the circuit quite a bit. They don't want to do that too much, otherwise you could get a bit of split damage. But I don't think these cars are too sensitive to that kind of contact. And Perry, despite moving up to second place, back down into fourth. It's really tricky to hold on to that. And these guys just annoyingly far away at the moment from the race leader, Austin Winner, and the championship leader, of course, Austin Winner. They can see him ahead. He's not too far ahead in terms of distance, but he's crucially out of the draft range. That's why it's looking very good for him at the moment. I guess the crumb of comfort, Jim, is something that you were saying earlier on, that the others may have been saving fuel by being in one another's slipstream. They would have saved some fuel. They might have a shorter pit stop. That could be their avenue back into the fight for the race win.
Well, of course, with this many drivers on track, the pit stop can be a very busy place when everybody decides to stop in, if everybody decides all together. And of course, we've seen Winner just last week had a very interesting pit stop where he was just held up a bit by another driver in the pit lane as he was doing his best to get the fastest stop he could. And he'll have his choice of stops. I wouldn't be surprised, Sam, if somebody tried an undercut. It looks like Elson there into pit lane. I believe he was running 6th or 7th, but he might be just deciding to do what I was just going to suggest, which is, you know, if you're running sort of at the back of this lead group, you might decide, you know, why not go ahead and take an early stop and see if I can throw a little monkey wrench into the works here.
Yeah, I think it's worth a try. Because you know, when you go back out into traffic, you know, usually I'd be saying, you know, you don't want to have too much traffic, but in fact, if you can just kind of slingshot your way past a few drivers with the slipstream, you're not necessarily going to lose yourself that much time. And these guys are all fighting still, although we have a bit of bump drafting, I think, there with Gaspers and Perry. So Perry pushing one of the teammates past the other teammate there. Yeah, so these guys, to be fair, they're not holding each other up too much, but actually just pitting early can get you out of that. And yeah, I think it's certainly worth an attempt. It's only round 2 of the championship as well. If these guys inexperienced, they won't know what the best strategy necessarily is. So some experimentation going on out here at Watkins Glen at the moment. Bohm up into 5th place. Remember, he was outside the top 10. I think at one point was Bohm. I've got plus 36 places, which I don't think is quite correct on my timing screen, but I think he's gotten up a fair few anyway. He's just a little bit away from those 3 ahead, but still within draft range and pulling away slightly from the guys ahead, as Bureau has had a bit of an op. Yeah, that's bad news for Bureau. He's just lost 4 places there. He's down to 14th.
Oh, no. We're going to get a little replay here. Let's see what happened. Oh, dear. Just lost the rear of the car. That will happen. Certainly will in the Spec Racer Ford. Luckily for him, there are a couple of gaps. Oh, is he going to hit the Armco as he tries to get going again? It looked like a little taparoo. Not too much damage there, but he did lose a lot of places. Did Burrow. It's a terrible feeling, isn't it, Sam, to be spun around pointing at the at the track barrier, because you can't back on track. You'll cause another incident with other drivers, and just all you want to do is get turned around, and you can't have it. You can't make it happen.
See, some of us two-time champions, Jim, managed to avoid those situations most of the time. But no, yes, I have been in my fair few. And whenever, you know, I do stewarding for a couple of other leagues, and really rejoining in that situation where you spin round, you're in the middle of the circuit, and you foot throttle, we punish that harshly. Really important for drivers in the sim racing world to get into their heads. So you got to be aware, because it's so unfortunate when other drivers get caught up in them. So just being patient in that situation. He got to the inside of the track. I'm sure he had his F3 screen open as well with the relative, yeah, managed to get back on course nice and quickly as Arabian just moves ahead. 3.1 seconds though. You know, they're bump drafting one another, aren't they, these guys, and trying to work together, but they're still losing time to winner. It just doesn't seem to be a viable strategy, or maybe winner's just that quick that he's able to be faster than these guys even when they are pulling out all the bells and whistles. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not convinced by this switching tactic that they're pursuing at the moment. I think they need to decide who's at the front and then stick with that, because I don't think this swapping is working right now.
Well, we've certainly seen the shoe on a different foot in this series. I recall commentating on a Spa-Francorchamps version of this race where Gaspers was basically in a different country relative to the rest of the field. And today is winner's day. As you say, this is a very common track. Maybe winners just put in a lot of time at this track in this car. And you know, all these guys, I think if you invented a track this morning that none of these guys had driven on before, you would see a very close race, a lot of pace in this field. But I think the differentiating factor just has to be the amount of time winners got around Watkins Glen.
Yeah, you could be right. You absolutely could be right. As he's pushing.
Or he's one of those aliens that I hear about.
Yeah. Boom into the pits, Haycock's into the pits, so they're going a little bit early. Still not many drivers following them in though. We're over halfway through the race now. Now, of course, I was saying earlier on, you know, if you pit, you come out into traffic, that could be negative. You also carry more fuel, and particularly in a car like this, you're going to lose time down the straights. I mean, through the corners, you know, maybe it even helps the balance. I know of several drivers who actually qualify on race fuel because they've, you know, got a nice setup, and the qualifying set maybe doesn't feel quite so comfortable, and so they put a bit more fuel in it, and they actually prefer it. But down the straight, it's always going to lose you time, and you're on the throttle a lot around this circuit. So having that extra fuel for laps while your rivals are on fumes, that can be quite costly for you. As Perry is up into third position, I think, again there. Gasper's actually held on to the lead. They've actually closed the gap to winner, so the gap's back down to 3 seconds. So there you go, let Gaspers go ahead and follow him around. Yeah, I guess we are coming imminently close to some pit stop sequences up there. As also, there's a mega battle at the moment between Bohm, Nunez, Bertoni, Kern and Bradshaw. I don't know if you could just get a quick shot of this one, because this is really close here. A couple of these drivers have already pitted, but still, the closest battle out to the circuit at the moment.
Yes, Bohm and Bertoni both have pitted, but Nunez, Kern have not. There is Bohm. Would expect to see him closer to the sharp end of the field once all of the pit stop shuffling has been done. Of course, none of the drivers down to P16 have stopped, all the way down to Tom Gradwell running currently in 16th. None of those guys have stopped. Bohm is currently the driver running highest in the order who has had his pit stop. There is Paolo Breme in the 555 machine, and running just behind Antonio Race. Now Race is in an interesting position. I don't know if this is going to happen, Sam, but Race now running in the Masters class. If he wins the Masters class, then I think, because he's won Spec 2 before, so then I would think that if he won the Masters Championship, they would have to put him back into Spec 1, regardless of his age, just because he's too fast. And then if he won that, I think he would have captured like a I don't know what they call it, like a triple crown maybe, but having won all the championships the series has to offer, it's out there for him. I think it's possible.
Graham Hill, eat your hearts out. This is the true triple crown. Apparently they didn't know that he was 60, and to be fair, by his profile picture, you wouldn't guess, would he? He's looking absolutely terrific as the Mexican for his age. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. I guess yeah, you can't win the Masters too many times, can you? Go away from and eventually, oh, that is Arabian with damage and with a huge slowdown now. Let's see how much time the number 2 loses, but I think that may have been Perry as Manny now moves up into second place. This is as high as Manny's been. So I think it may have even gone 3 wide down to turn 1. They didn't lose each other actually that much time. The gap's still only 3.4 seconds, but Manny must have just got an awesome run. Has managed to pass 3 drivers in one straight.
Yeah, I would love to get a look at what happened just into the bus stop there. I have no doubt that Johnny Grabs will give us a picture for it if it is possible. What is going on, Sam, with David Gasper's profile photo? Is that a schnitzel he's got there? The championship schnitzel?
I'm not sure.
It is. It says Wiener Schnitzels right there.
Oh, I've just had my dinner.
I'm never going to say no to a schnitzel.
It's making me hungry again, yeah. Into
no!
the wall. It's Perry, and it's Gasper's, sorry, and it's Manny and Gasper's car reacting very strangely to that one. They've got a fast repair. Manny's had to tow back to the pits, and Gasper's going to be very slow back to the pits at Watkins Glen, and that was frankly an avoidable incident. The 2 drivers merging into one another, hitting the wall, and have heavily compromised their race.
Yeah, I guess Gasper's decided not to tow there just because he felt he could drive around to the pits. Let's see what happens here. I think that's Gasper's all over the rear of Manny's car. Is that right?
Yep.
And then Manny just turned in on him, it looked like.
Yeah, I don't know. That was really weird. The reaction there from Gasper's cars there. Lots of drivers coming into their pit. So Gasper's, you know, is fortunate that he hadn't already taken his pit stop. Otherwise, he'd be out of the race right now. I think all these drivers will use the fast repair at their stop just to fix any like niggling damage which is lingering. Yeah, pretty much half the field now, or much more than that. In fact, probably 3/4 of the field have now pitted. Arabian top of the drivers who have come into the pits. In fact, actually, Bohm is ahead of Arabian. So Bohm, who made that early pit stop, remember, has come out ahead of Arabian by about a second. So that's good news there from David, who was a couple of places behind Arabian before, but now he's clear. Bertoni as well has also pitted, but I don't think Bertoni's really a factor. He pitted on lap 5 apparently. I don't know, does Bertoni have to pit again?
Shouldn't need to, because I think he was far enough into the race that he should be okay. That was just Elson and Fritcher we saw battling there in the back straight. Elson will slide in behind Fritcher's car. But yeah, Bertoni did pit a little early, but he should have been able to take on enough fuel to get to the end of the race. I believe that's Jackson and Murakami there. So what has this done to our various... There's Hugh Haycox. I believe he is the elder of the father-son Haycoxes, running in the number 34 machine there. He's just got Gaspers behind. Ian being the other Haycox. But let's see. So Pereira now running in 5th. Pereira has not had his stop, but he is leading Spec 2 with the number 312, his number over 900. And then second in Spec 2 would be Jackson, followed by Renders in 17th and 18th. And the Masters led by Antonio Reyes, future potential Triple Crown winner, even though that's not a thing. And I'm just inventing it for the first time.
I think he'll catch on. Dobeck leads.
Winner, Perry, and Arnold all pitting. Yeah.
So the fastest pit stops we've had so far have been about 11 seconds. So as long as Winner's pit stop is kind of 12-13, he should still come out with a draft advantage. And wow, 10.8. That is quick for Winner, despite the fact that he hasn't saved much fuel. That's one of the fastest pit stops we've had all day.
He is very good with the pit stops this winter, in addition to being good with the driving on track. So, there we are looking at the battle between Bertoni and Bohm. The battle of the early pit stoppers. Bohm, of course, did not start quite that high. Bertoni and Bohm just really battling away. I think they might want to try to work together. Winner is, of course, in front of them. Winner probably the leader on the road, although the sort of the virtual winner, if you like, is winner. Dobek and Pereira ahead, but have not made their pit stops. Who is that spun around in the bus stop? Just manages to get out of the way of Bertoni's car. Not sure who that is.
Zelichko Nake, I think, maybe. Yeah, it looks like Nake is stationary. So yeah, I think that was Nake there having it off.
Well, these things do happen. So yeah, anyway, like I was saying, very good at the pit stop is winner. And I think he does it all manually, Sam. I think he just feels it in his bones when it's time to stop taking fuel.
Well, yeah, that's a unique sixth sense. But they all come in handy. Yeah, it really does help when you're good at driving and at strategy. Because, well, up here in the commentary box we have neither. So
Right.
we would really take just one of them, frankly. Into the pits comes Dobek, so he managed to push the fuel really further than most other drivers. I think Pereira will have to pit as well. Just saying, so, Bertoni, who pitted on lap 5, he'll be fine then. Because we've got now about 5 more laps to go, and this is past the pit stop will go. So Bertoni really pitted as absolutely early as he can do. He might even be on fumes by the end of the race here, Bertoni. I assume he filled it with a full tank. But it's worked well for him, hasn't it? He's up into 2nd place. He's 4 seconds behind the race leader. As Dobek now comes out of the pits. Where will he be? He'll be behind Arabian, but ahead of Haycox, it seems. And so all these positions you're seeing now on the timing tower are all legit. Everyone has come into the pits. And so this is the proper running order. It's just a race to the finish from here.
Yeah, so winner, very fast pit lane time, but looks like Pereira was even faster at a 10.87. Might be our fastest. No, we had somebody at a. Nico Shook was even faster, but I'm not sure that he's still running. I think he might have taken a very fast repair and then decided to give it up. Not sure exactly what happened, but anyway, Pereira certainly leading Spec 2, the number 312 machine. Here he comes. Just chasing after Arnold in the number 36.
So with the numbers then, it's 300. It's 900 plus if you're a Masters, and then 300 plus if you're a second division driver. Yeah.
I believe it's 200 plus, but it might have changed since last season. They might have changed it to 300 plus so that there was more room for stick one drivers. Oh no,
Arnold.
We were just seeing Arnold.
That was nearly into the path of the oncoming traffic. That is a shame for him. He's actually hit the wall there, so he'll have to run with some damage to the end of the race.
Oh, I wonder if he got a little bit spooked by that cloud ahead of him. Oh, just dipped a wheel, lost the rear of the car. It's always disheartening, isn't it, Sam, to crash at a point in the track where they've got a tire wall set up, almost as if they knew that you were going to do that, you know?
Yeah. To be fair, that is one of the most common mistakes around this circuit. That time you kind of dipped a wheel onto the grass and spun, as you're saying. Quite often drivers actually get well onto the grass, but think, oh, it's not too bad, it's just grass, isn't it? And then they realise that there's some bumps there, and then they spin and hit that wall. So we've had, I remember one driver Ben Gregory being flown to the moon and back at that corner when we had a pile-up around that part of the track. But nothing like that, fortunately, as here's a bit of a train of cars. We've got Renders here as they all move past Pereira. He's had to come into the pits again.
Oh, no.
Wonder if that's a speeding penalty on pit exit. I can only imagine it is.
Well, that is unfortunate, Pereira. He was formerly leading Spec 2. Now your Spec 2 leader is Vaguely, followed by Renders, running 13th and 14th overall. There's Vaguely.
There we go, have a change of position here. Renders with a lot of overspeed, and the outside line into the bus stop works very well, but you know what, he's going to be clear, isn't he? By the time they get onto the brakes, so good work there. I mean, this is the part of the race now where you start. Great save there from the I think that was Dick there, the 119 car, really sliding about, but it's superb to hang on to the car. He's lost a bunch of positions. I don't think he'll be too happy, but that could have been much, much worse. As the 308 looking up the inside, they're all sliding about now. Oh, and it's another side for Dick, and it's been hit as well, but he's still keeping that car in the same direction. It's remarkable, this composure from him right now. But he is down to 20th place. He's lost 5 places in a couple of corners.
Yep. Well, it can all happen in the boot, that's for sure. Sort of driving through the ankle area there of the boot, if you like, and now leaving the toe, headed for the heel. Perhaps stretching the boot metaphor a bit beyond its limits. But I didn't name the track, Sam.
I'm getting a kick out of it.
Oh, God. Shut it down. Turn it all off.
Well, that's the peak of the broadcasting. May as well turn off for tonight. We'll see you back at round 3.
Yep, that's all we need. Thank you so much from our sponsor, RaceVoice. So yeah, winner has got himself now a 4-second gap, very much in control of the race, especially after all the pit stop shuffling. Got about 4 minutes to go. Would expect to see probably 2 laps, maybe 3. But that battle between Bertoni and Bohm, who we can see just in the distance there, is the battle for second place. Those 2 drivers, Bertoni now with a little bit of a gap on Bohm. Well done, Bertoni. Bohm, again, a driver with a lot of pace, pretty aggressive guy. Certainly likes to, if we get a cockpit shot of Bohm, he doesn't mind turning the wheel. Kind of wrestles the car around the track, but has a lot of pace. So kind of nice to see Bertoni having a little bit of luck today.
These guys got good pace, actually. I mean, Bertoni, since he's been in that second place, actually closing in on winner. So, you know, it was an early stop for him. I think he stopped because he was in traffic. But he... Oh, there's a car in the middle of the circuit. Oh, well, the second and third place guys do so well to get through. Now, are there going to be other drivers? Has Arabia managed to get through it? I think he has there. Now, who was that? With
the number 50 car.
Overloop. That's ironic. Louis Verloop has looped it there. And he just moved ever so slightly. And I thought that may have been Cousin. I mean, the race leader only just got through as well. Oh, did good to avoid.
I don't even know how many... Oh, God. I've had so many incidents just like that where somebody has spun around and you think they're going to be still and you can just power right by them and then they move a little bit and your race is over. Kind of cured me of wanting to race in iRacing.
Well, yep, that's something in it. Can I ask what series that was? Was that GT series?
Oh, you name it. A lot of that in the Radical, of course. You're well familiar with the Radical. You see that a lot in the Skippies as well. And I like to race on this car. A little bit of a kinder series, the Spec Racer Ford, but especially on the weeks when it's tracks that everybody owns, you'll see a lot of that kind of behavior. People get spun around. With the Skippies, they'll hook their tires together and be strung across the track nose to nose, and neither one of the drivers will tow, like it's Rocket League, and they're just driving in because they think it's hilarious. But they're blocking the track, especially like at Okayama, you know, where turn one is, first turn is blind, you can't see it. You come around the corner and there's 2 cars across. What are you supposed to do? There's nothing you can do but nail them. And you can protest, but nothing's going to happen. So you get 4X because somebody else hooked their car into another car and won't move. State of the world these days.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Yeah, if only.
There was a crash in turn 1, actually. I'm not sure who it was, but I saw some smoke if anyone else spotted that. Yeah, a few problems. Reese has actually had a problem, it may have been Reese. And Vogel as well, just in 13th place, getting ahead of Haraski there. Apologies, was that Renders going ahead of Vogel? I mean, they're so close. We've got one more lap after this one, and you do want to be second place coming out of turn 2, turn 1, sorry, because then you can get that draft, make the move into the bus stop. Of course, you might have a chance to come back later on in the lap, as we've got a very slow 249 machine, just doing a good job at letting the drivers past. And Bogiel isn't going to wait around, is he? He's going to go for the way. In fact, it's actually the checker flag for winner. The checker flag's come out early.
Wow. So, yeah. Well, there's really no doubt about who won this one, is it? There he is, headed into turn 1. It'll be Austin Winner. He will most likely stop by for a post-race chat. Bertoni manages to hold Bohm off. Well done, Bertoni. Quite a battle, a very pitched battle every lap of the race. Bohm pulls alongside to have a few choice words, I'm sure. And there is Vaguely, who is leading Spec 2. If he can keep Renders behind him, he will win Spec 2 for today, I believe, will Vaguely. And indeed, he is going to manage it, I believe. And who is going to win the Masters? I believe it is going to be our very own Stevie Ray. There he is in the 911 machine there on the right side of your picture with the red stripe. Series organizer, all-around hero, Stevie Ray. Well done to him. You got to congratulate a guy, don't you, Sam, for creating a subsection of a race so that he can be the winner of that very subsection.
Well, yes. Well, it's worked out for him. Congrats. Oh, there you go. Well,
yeah,
I've seen that. There you go. That's going to get you kicked out of the league.
No, this is your first race with us, so you don't know. But at the end of the race, there's a massive demolition derby every week. So I guess it's going to take place right there in turn 1. I can think of no better place. So once the cars all come around, there will be just a complete. Well, you'll see soon enough. There's Perry and Elson. Great result for Perry today, 6th overall. We should get our official results here shortly. There's Renders. 641 machine, 2nd today in Spec 2.
It was weird with the checker flag there. We literally have the checker flag, like, I think the leader have 5 seconds to spare. And yet, the organisers were like, oh, no, I won't go home, mate. And called the race off early. So they need to get their binoculars out or something, because well, that was weird, because usually iRacing, famously there was an AOSC round which was 4 hours long. Oof. And and the checker flag didn't come out despite being after the 4 hours, and it cost a team a win, and it was absolutely one of the best races I've ever seen. But that was the opposite there, as we are seeing that demolition derby now, as we got the points up on screen, the results up on screen.
Yes, we do, and we know, of course, that Austin Winner won today. He was very far out in front, as you can see, 4.2 seconds. Well done, Winner. 2nd in your P2 position. A very fast Elson there, just coming into the turn 1 runoff area. Andres Bertoni, a great battle between him and Bohm for the rest of the podium positions, down to 3rd. Torrens Arabian had a little bit of an issue during the race, which left him down in 4th. Dobek, a lot of battling on track today. Dobek did well for himself to end up, I believe, in 5th overall, followed by Jason Perry, who was caught up in some incidents there on the back straight that we saw, ended up in P6. A great result for him, although he did have a sniff of some better results. Ian Haycox, I believe that is Haycox the Younger, is Ian in 7th overall, followed by Stephen Elson, whom we just saw crashing into the Armco. And then at 9th, it is Haycox the Elder. Well done to him, followed by Jeff Fritcher in 10th. Bobby West, followed by Aaron Vaguely. Vaguely is your Spec 2 winner, and a car number 247, followed by Renders. So not much between those two cars. A great race by them for the Spec 2 win. Followed by Miro Haraski and Yuri Cox and Josh Arnold and Stevie Ray, who wins your Masters, your Spec Masters, cars 900 and over. Stevie Ray followed, of course, by Samuel Dick in P18. Now, it looks like, Sam, we've got a couple of cars ready to have a chat with us. And I won't read all of the results. I wouldn't mind if you showed them on screen, Johnny Grabs. But I don't want to read everybody's name a second time, since I already did that for the grid.
I can understand that. We've all got a voice to maintain, you know. They're our most valuable assets.
Yeah, well,
commentators, so...
I do have to defend all of my life mistakes to my family when they ask good, honestly, good questions about my behavior. So let's get our winner in here. Our winner is once again, of course, Austin Winner himself, Mr. Winner, well done out there today. Congratulations on your win. What a race for you.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think I've always had a lot of speed here at Watkins Glen, but you usually can't showcase that because it's such a draft track. So it was a blessing to get that gap and just be able to run away for a bit.
Well, that was my guess, was that you just had a little bit more seat time here at the Glen than possibly some of the other drivers. But man, you just were able to get that gap and get away from them. You know, when you guys were all racing as a pack, I was like, gosh, all these drivers are guys with a lot of pace. I don't think we're going to be able to see anybody getting away from the pack. And then we look back and you got a second and a half, and then 2 seconds and 3. So I feel like a bit of a fool, Austin.
Oh, I mean, it was a lot of luck. I was lucky I was out in front when the group went too wide through the bus stop, and that's a second slowdown there. You have to be so careful because it's full of landmines, and then running side by side, you got to really take it easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we did see people get on the wrong side of that situation. You also had a great pit stop. What was going through your mind there?
I wasn't really paying attention to it. I practiced the entry a little bit, so I came in and didn't lose any time, slowing down too early. And I actually overfilled a bit because we were really close to running an extra lap, and we ended up not. So I had more than enough fuel, but I put in a little bit of extra fuel, so I was surprised it came out to be that fast. Maybe I benefited by being one of the last pit stalls, so my actual pit lane time is lower. But
Well,
my combined 2 laps was slow.
Well, even as you say that, as you say you overfilled, you were also still one of the very fastest pit stops on track today. Maybe not the fastest, but certainly near the top.
Well, good to hear. I guess it just depends. I don't know what makes some faster than the others. I think we all take about the same amount of fuel and all drive the speed limit through the pits.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly looking good in terms of the the points championship. I think you will extend your lead somewhat today, although I know, having interviewed you in the past, you'll probably be pretty modest about that. But nevertheless, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're always just here for fun, but winning would be a nice bonus.
I knew it. I knew he'd be modest. Well, thank you so much for a great show and a great race. Congratulations on your P1 finish today, Austin Winner.
Thank you.
All right, Sam. I think we got a couple of other drivers waiting to have a chat with us. Looks like maybe. Well, would you like to take your pick, Sam?
Yeah, well, I think we got our top 2 in the Spec 2 results. So I'll drag up Aaron Vergil. Actually, Aaron, how do I pronounce your surname? Apologies, I think I got it wrong all night.
Every announcer asks me that. My family pronounces it vaguely. Vaguely or vocal is fine though, whichever's more comfortable.
Awesome, vaguely. I will try to remember. Congratulations. When you're lining up on the grid in 37th position, did you think you might be coming out on top in the Spec 2 race?
Honestly, I just wanted to make it past turn 1 because my last Watkins Glen race ended up with me being punted out of the race. So yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. Not gonna lie, I'm really happy with that finish there.
Absolutely. And it was a tight one as well with Thomas, because just half a second separating you guys. I mean, was it a case of one of you being ahead one moment and then the other would overtake, or were you able to kind of stay ahead of him in those closing stages throughout?
Actually, I think it was that last lap. I'm apologies for not being able to remember. It was just so action packed there. But I think the last lap he got me in that last straight. But then I think I managed to pass him later on around the boot. So it was definitely really, really close, and he was definitely putting up a fight for it.
Absolutely, and that's a win now in this category. You think that you could perhaps fight for the Spec 2 championship now?
Definitely. It's definitely a goal of mine for this season. Definitely want to get up to the get a Spec 2 win. I've been around a couple times and been in contention a few times, and I think getting a Spec 2 championship win would definitely be awesome to kind of put there on my resume, I guess.
Definitely. Well, best of luck for that one. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
You know what? Honestly, just just honestly my viewers on Twitch and stuff. They've been awesome, supportive, and definitely have kept me kind of in line of practicing a little bit more for my races. So they've been doing good. So shout out to them because they're all just freaking awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Aaron, and we will see you back next week.
Thank you very much.
Well, what a race it was. That was, of course, your Spec 2 winner, Aaron Vagley. Thanks to him for stopping in to have a chat. And drivers, do remember to stop in and have a chat with us. A lot of you do remember, but we love you all deeply. Would love to hear from you. Although we are running a little bit out of time today, so don't come rushing in now because you'll make a fool of me. A fool, I say. Well, I'll tell you who's not a fool, and that's you, viewer, for watching this thing. It is such a treat every time we get together. Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great to have you on the broadcast. What are your thoughts? Are you addicted?
Well, I'll make sure that I tune in for the next one. Unfortunately, I usually have a commentary at this time.
Wow.
The Apex Racing League GC Championship. More details can be found at apexracingleague.com. Had to get that one in. That's 10 quid from Lee that I'll be getting. By the way, actually, I've just looked. Apologies, I'm going really off topic here. But the race time for Austin Winner was 40 minutes and 2 1,000ths. So I'm not sure if that's how iRacing decided it, but he went 2 1,000ths over the predicted time. So that was I've never seen it be that close. But no, I will certainly make sure to watch the next few rounds. I mean, it was a brilliant battle further down. A little bit of a shame that we didn't see Winner have a proper fight in those closing stages, because those opening stages, it was so evenly matched, wasn't it? That I thought that it would really come down to the last lap. In the end, it was the other kind of classes that were really close for the race wins. But I'm sure we're going to have some more competition for Austin in the next few rounds.
Yeah, no question about it. A little bit of an unfortunate result for drivers like Gaspers. I saw Gaspers in the chat saying he didn't even think the fast repair entirely fixed his car. So yeah, you'll have to join us next week, viewer. Join Sam and watching the rest of the series. We'd love to have you. I have been Jim Hodgson. Of course, joining me on commentary, Sam Fitzpatrick, and our fantastic producer, Jonathan Grabowski, did a great job for us. SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice here on Apex Racing TV. Join us again next week.